Good morning, 8th grade mathematicians, and welcome to virtual math class. Today we're going to be talking about interpreting the y-intercept. And our objective for today is that students will be able to state what the y-intercept represents. So sometimes we will look at a graph, sometimes we'll be given a scenario, and we will be asked what the y-intercept represents. So that's the objective for today. So what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is the point where a line crosses the y-axis. At this point, x equals 0. The y-intercept is also known as the initial value or the starting point, because if we have a line and it starts on our y-axis, or where it crosses our y-axis is often where the line starts. So the y-intercept is also known as the initial value, which you can think of as the starting point. Okay, so our first example says that Deasia has $45 saved for a new pair of shoes. She plans to save an additional $10 per week until she has enough to buy the shoe she wants. What is the y-intercept in this case, and what does it represent? So in this case, we are just given the scenario. So if I had a graph and I did the weeks and then the money saved. So week 1, well, let's start at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm just going to go by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so how much does she have right now? Starting out at week 0, how much does she have saved? She has $45 saved. So that would be right here between 40 and 50. And then at week 1, she saves $10. So then at week 1, we would have $55. Week 2, we would have $65, and it would keep going. So there would be our line. So where does this line start at? It starts at 45. So our y-intercept would be 45. And in this case, it represents what? The amount of money Deasia already has saved. So it's the amount that she starts with. Remember that initial cost or that initial value? So Deasia already has $45. So that's where we start at for our savings. And then she's adding $10 per week. So it's going up by $10 a week, but the amount she already has is 45, which would be the y-intercept. And it represents the amount of money she already has saved. Example 2, Jenna opened a savings account. She adds $10 per day to her savings account. What is the y-intercept in this case, and what does it represent? So remember that our y-intercept is when x equals 0. So on the number of weeks, I find 0, and I look at the amount she has saved. So my y-intercept then I can clearly tell is $50, right? And what does it represent? It represents the amount the amount she already has saved, or the amount that she starts with. Because remember, it's the initial value. And so she starts with $50, and then she's adding the $10 per week. So it's going up by 10 each time. Okay, customers at a gym pay a membership fee to join and then a fee for each class they attend. Here's a graph that represents the situation. What is the y-intercept? And in this case, what does it represent? So first, look at your axis and find where this graph begins. What is our y-intercept? Our y-intercept is 60 because that's where it starts. So $60 would be our y-intercept. And in this case, what does it represent? So it's going up by a certain amount each time. It looks like it's going up by $20 each week. So $20 each week is what she's paying. But you see how it says the customers at a gym pay a membership fee to join and then a fee for each class they attend? So how much it's going up by, that $20 each week, that would be the fee per class. That $60 represents the amount she had to pay up front, which would be the membership fee. So first she has to pay the membership fee, and then she has to pay per class. So that initial cost that she has to pay up front would represent that $60, which in this case would be the membership fee. Okay, last example together. So here's the graph of a line showing the amount of money paid for a new cell phone and monthly plan. What is the y-intercept and what does it represent? First of all, tell me what the y-intercept is. Yes. So the y-intercept is $200. And what does it represent? There's a couple, since we're not given a whole bunch of information, but it says here is a graph of a line showing the amount of money paid for a new cell phone plan and the monthly plan. So we have the amount of money paid for a new cell phone and a monthly plan. So we have two things. So the monthly plan would be how much it's going up by per month, right? But imagine that you go into the cell phone store and they ask, and you're buying a new phone, and then you're also having a monthly plan. That new phone is what you're going to have to pay for right up front. So that $200 in this case would represent the cost of the new phone. And then beyond that, the monthly amount that she has to pay for the cell phone cost would be how much it's going up by each month. But that initial value, what we have to pay up front, would be the cost of the new cell phone. Okay, try this one on your own. Angela's monthly cell phone bill is represented by the graph below. She pays 10 cents per minute she talks on the phone. In this case, what is the y-intercept and what does it represent? So in this case, our y-intercept would be 60. And what does it represent? It represents the initial cost of her cell phone plan. So each month, she has to pay the cost for the cell phone plan, and then an additional 10 cents per minute that she talks on the phone. So that initial cost would be the cost of the cell phone plan. Okay, try this one on your own too. A car salesman earns $30,000 per year plus $500 per car sold. In this case, what is the y-intercept and what does it represent? So if we're looking at how much a salesperson makes per year, right up front, they're making $30,000. So $30,000 is going to be our y-intercept and that represents the amount that the car salesman would earn if they sell no cars. And last example on your own, it says Ricky opened a savings account. He is spending $25 per week. His savings are shown in the graph. What is the y-intercept? And in this case, what does it represent? Okay, so our line starts at 0, right? So our y-intercept is 0. And what does it represent? It represents that Ricky didn't have any savings before he starts. So whenever Ricky started, he did not have any money in the bank.